Awesome. Well, good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Matt. Hope everybody's having a good morning. I'm Lauren Howman. I'm one of the coaches with Freedom from Alcohol with Chris Shattuck and Matt Gardner. And so today I have Matt with me, and Matt is a recent graduate of our program, and just wanted to invite him on to congratulate him, celebrate his victories and the changes he's made in life, and just interview him for a couple minutes. So Matt, thanks for joining from your office this morning. How are you?
Yep, good. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, anything you feel comfortable with sharing, why don't you paint us a picture of where you were before you started working with us, when you reached out to Chris and said, hey, I'm thinking about, having a coach for this. Kind of paint the picture of what life was looking like and what you were looking for.
Yeah, so always haven't been a drinker. My whole family has always been that way. When COVID came, when everyone was stuck inside and didn't go anywhere, that's what I kind of did to fill my time. And so it just continued to spiral down and wanted to do it more and more, and kind of turned into a nightly thing. And then even more so on the weekends. Few times had way too much for what my wife was happy with. And so after telling her I can change and get better and never making that change, she really pushed me to get help. And I knew I needed the help, but never wanted to change my old habits, because it's been a habit for many, many years. And so it's always a hard thing to change. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I was going to ask you, were you nervous about the change? Because, you'd been doing the same thing for a long time and you were kind of happy with it. Would you say that you kind of liked, having your beer and doing those things? Were you a little fearful of what life would look like without it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Even just what my family would think. All of a sudden I go to a family event and I'm like, no, I don't drink anymore. And just kind of thinking a few things that they were going to say to me, but it all turned out positive feedback from my family, a lot of support.
Yeah.
But, just always changing a habit that you have liked. It's always a hard thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I was really scared. Like, I was a wine drinker and I know you were more of a beer, but I thought wine was my best friend. So I was very fearful to leave that behind, because what would life look like without it? Did you have any similar feelings like that?
Yeah, especially with work-related social networking events where it seems like there's a handful of people there that do go overboard, but most of them don't. And so just still hanging out with those people that I network with, and coworkers and friends and stuff, and just again kind of thinking, well, what are they going to think if all of a sudden I'm not drinking with them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so now fast forward, you did stop drinking, obviously. Yep. It's been how long? Like 3-4 months, 5 months? It's been something. It's been a while.
I think since Memorial Day weekend, I think, is when I made the call to Chris.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, first of all, congratulations, because I know how much your life has actually been enriched by getting rid of this one thing, as we've had extensive conversations about it with me being your coach. But share with me and everybody who might be watching, because the reason I do these interviews, and the reason Chris does these interviews with the clients that he coaches, and then Matt as well, is to kind of show that we're all very similar and we all kind of come from the same start. So you reached out to Chris because you were like, listen, honey, I'll stop. And then you're like, uh-oh, having a hard time stopping. So first of all, share with me how your life has become better because drinking is gone. Share that first.
Just relationships with my wife have been very improved, and my kids as well. A lot more energy to keep up with them, and we're keeping busy having kids and everything. This is the first year we've really signed up for a lot more things. We've always done like 1 or maybe 2 things in the past, but now it seems like 3-4 nights a week we're running somewhere for all 3 kids. And so it definitely need the energy to keep up with all of that, and even just not bringing them to their activities, but actually volunteering at them and working with the other parents as well and kind of in the a couple years ago, I probably would have told my wife, I don't really want to do that. It's not something I would enjoy, but now seeing some of the things that my kids are involved in, and seeing how much they enjoy it, makes me want to continue to bring them to those events, even though they may not be the most favorite thing for me to do, but it's good for my kids to get involved in the activities they want to be in and have those opportunities.
And I would say that you have the time freedom now to be able to do that, because you go to work during the day and then you get home. And it used to be that you would kind of retreat and, like most of us drinkers, we would find a special place to drink our alcohol. We didn't really want to go anywhere. The alcohol was the most important thing. So it was like, I'm just going to stay home. And that way nobody interrupts me. So maybe the wife would be doing all these volunteer things and you'd just be chilling at home, because that was kind of I hate to say it, but it was in your mind, never something you'd say out loud, but it was the most important thing, was
Mhm.
because it's an addiction, right?
Yeah.
And so now you've got that time freedom to be able to do more. Your relationship with your wife is greatly improved. You guys have completely reconnected. Tell me about the people that you thought were going to have major issue with the fact that, hey, Matt's showing up at this networking event and he's no longer drinking, or maybe share what your family thought when you came in and you're like, hey, I'm a non-drinker. Because I think a lot of people think that, and they put a lot of weight into this, that other people won't like that they quit, or won't like them anymore, or won't invite them to do things, or will just have an issue with them having decided to do a life without alcohol. So tell me what the truth of it was with you and all of those people.
Yeah. So my first family member that I told was my mom. So she was babysitting kids one night, and I knew she was going to the family cabin the following weekend. And so I still had a bunch of beer in my house. And my wife told me, nope, we just have to get rid of all that. And I said, okay, well, a while before I gave some away to a lot of neighbors. So neighbors liked me again. And then I gave the rest to my mom to bring to the cabin. And she's like, oh, is this for the family week when we go up there? And I said, nope, that's just for everybody who wants to drink that up there. They can have it. I'm not drinking anymore. And so that's when I told my mom, and she's like, well, I will support that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And were you surprised that, I don't know if you had this happen in your life, and actually you and I haven't discussed this, but did anybody kind of give you well, it's about time, Matt? Because I know that nobody really talked to me about what they thought of my drinking, but when I quit, they were like, makes sense for you. I'm glad.
No, not really. I know my mom is more of a passive person.
Mhm.
I know when my grandma was still alive and my mom would talk to her, my grandma would mention it to us every once in a while, me and my brothers, that, your mom is concerned about your drinking a little bit, but that was my grandma passed away in 2010. So
Okay.
it was that long ago. But
Yeah.
but she never said anything to us directly. I know she talks to me about my brothers sometimes, so I'm sure when my other brothers were talking to her, she brought it up about me, but never said it
Sure.
to me personally.
Yeah. Okay. But she's proud of you
Yeah.
is what I'm getting from the takeaways, that she was like, I can support that. I'll get behind that.
Yep.
What about the coworkers and the people that you network with? Any kind of pushback from that, or was everybody pretty supportive?
Yeah, no real pushback at all. The couple events that I went to, yeah, well, the first event right when I first started, when I had mentioned I had a beer with a coworker and we talked about it on our one-on-one call. And so after that, I would just have an NA beer, would just get a plastic cup so it looked like I was having a beer just like everybody else. And
Yep.
so I haven't told everybody at work yet, but
Yeah.
at some point they'll find out.
Yeah. Well, and you don't have to, it's not like every single person needs to know the last time you
Right.
had a bowel movement, right? Like, it's not important.
Yep.
Um, But for the people that it is important, those people already know and they're all supportive. And then one of the biggest takeaways that I found in my journey of becoming alcohol free was that people don't really care what you do as long as you're not telling them what to do with themselves. So if you're not out there being like Judgy McJudgerson, like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, you're drinking beer. Don't you know that's poison? You're killing yourself, and starting with the stats and like how you're not a drinker anymore. Nobody wants that. And you're going to
Yep.
not get invited to anything from here on out. Right. But
Yep.
as long as you're not impeding what they want to do, they don't really care. So like at the cabin, your brothers with their drinking, you weren't judging them, you weren't telling them that they were overdoing it or anything. And so then they were able to support you as well in your mission.
Hmm.
And that was the biggest surprise to you, I think, was telling one of your brothers, right?
Yep. Yep. Both of them actually.
And what was the reality versus the anticipation was that they may not be supportive, and then what was the reality?
And they said, yeah, we support you 100%. And my older brother had quit drinking for a while, and so when he saw me at the cabin, he's like, "Oh, you're just drinking water, no beers, no cocktails," and he's like, and then I brought out an NA beer, and so that's when he really realized it. He's like, "Oh, how long you been doing this for?" And I was like, "Well, for just started working on it," and he's like, "Okay, well, now I know not to ask you anymore."
Perfect. Yes. And so I think that we think that there's going to be all this peer pressure.
Hmm.
One of the first things I talk with my clients about, I'm like, look, I'm like 44 years old coming up in November. Like, nobody's going to peer pressure me into drinking alcohol. And if they are trying to do that, then they're probably not for me anymore. And because we're not in high school, like, we're not doing that anymore. Right. So
Yeah.
you didn't find any of that to happen. No peer pressure, nobody bothering you or like,
Yeah.
oh my God, could you just have one? What's the problem? None of that. Right.
But growing up with brothers, of course, when you're younger, there was lots of fighting, and uh, got together and had a lot of fun as we got older, but we never stopped giving each other crap. And
Of course.
so I was expecting some of that, but actually there wasn't any.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Well, so tell us a little bit about what made this effective for you? What was it about this time where you started working with Chris and I? And why do you think it worked for you?
A lot more of the education piece, learning about it. I know people that drink, they know alcohol is not good for you, but going through the program, doing homework, reading the books and everything, it actually learns how bad it is for you.
Mhm.
And then yeah, just and also knowing my health wasn't as good as it had been in the past, and so knowing that it was the alcohol that was causing that.
Mm.
So just yeah, a lot more education about it, and instead of just knowing it's not good for you and just keep on doing it, it just yeah, not knowing exactly how bad it is for you.
Right. Well, and you kind of didn't want to know why you were doing it, right? It's like
Yeah,
blinders.
that
Well, I know it's not good for me, but I'm not going to learn more about it.
yep.
And then you actually come into our program and you start finding out all the insidious tricks that it played on you. And as smart people, it's like, wow, we really had to have the blinders on not to see these tricks. But,
Mhm.
we convinced ourselves that the taste of it was what was keeping us going, that we needed it for like social anxiety, or we needed it to be more fun at parties. Um, there's a variety of reasons that people think that they need it. And then once we get far enough away from it, we start to realize those were all tricks, and that any of the problems that alcohol corrected or fixed, it actually caused first.
Mhm.
So if we were feeling anxious and that was being relieved by beer or wine, most of that anxiety was actually created by this cycle of drinking. And so then, of course, it was like, here's your problem. And I've also got the solution. It caused it, and then would give you a temporary like band aid that would then, go away and you'd need to do it again. So it's the education piece was big for you. And anything else that was kind of instrumental for you, accountability wise, or community, was any of that an important piece of your journey?
Yeah, the community, I think it's a pretty cool deal that you don't have to just find a place local and show up in person, that it's people all around the US and even around the world that are part of the community.
Mhm.
So you kind of yeah, and so there can be a lot more people in the community that way as well, instead of if it's just a local group, there might be just a handful of people.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
And a
then,
lot of people don't want to be in a local group. If
yeah,
you've got a presence in your community, or, you have a bunch of kids, everybody. Like in my town, I know everybody because I've got kids and they all do sports together and they're all in school together. And so we end up like knowing everybody.
hmm,
Not everybody wants to go to a meeting with folding chairs and coffee. So this is an alternative way to really just get the thing done. We have a different philosophy, which is you are in charge of your recovery. You're not broken. You're actually strong, successful. You just happen to get involved with a drug that's addictive by nature. So, the use and the frequency is going to start spiraling at some point if you stay true to it long enough.
yeah,
So the mindset piece was what drew me in to want to be a coach with this program, is that that's how I quit drinking for myself. Was not that I'm broken and I need to go somewhere and, tell everybody I'm an alcoholic every week, and then 38 years from now still be doing that. That's what really appealed to me. Um, how would you say that kind of wrapped into your decision to say yes with our type of coaching? Is that something that resonated with you?
um, yeah, I guess just getting healthy and increase and getting relationships back to where they were before. And that was the big thing for me.
Yeah. And you've done it. So what's been really fun for me is watching your life kind of blossom and seeing the health come back into your face, the joy. When I met you, you didn't have a lot of joy. You were just there like, hey, I'm Matt, we talked. But over time, like every time I would log on to do a Zoom with you, there was more joy. You were smiling. You were telling me about fun experiences, like going on weekend trips with your wife, and just how proud of you she is, and how that's really changed your relationship for the better. All of the things, the joy coming back to you was what I noticed the most. And I'm sure your wife's noticed that as well. Probably all the
Hmm.
people around you as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just, yeah. Enjoying more things to go as a family. I know we've done a lot this year, and we're actually taking a weekend off this coming weekend, because it seems like the last 2 months there's just been nonstop running around. Even though my kids, it's one of their favorite events this weekend, but we're gonna have to miss it.
okay, just take some
Yep.
time off, keep your feet up and actually chill. Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I wanted to ask just one more question. And it would be, what would you say to somebody that was contemplating maybe joining us as a client, or someone contemplating working in this way instead of the traditional way?
If you think you need to make the change, definitely do it sooner than later, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to make that decision and actually make the actual change of not drinking anymore. So yeah, definitely work with someone who's been in your shoes before, because they know what you're going through, they know what you're thinking, and they know definitely how to help.
Absolutely. Awesome. Anything else you want to add to share with anybody about your experience personally?
I guess, yeah, I don't, not not right now. I can't think of anything else.
Well, I'm super proud of you. I'm sorry, there's somebody at the front door, so my dog's going to bark. Y'all are going to hear that. I am super proud of you and all the changes that you've made. And again, like just watching you blossom and see you smiling more and having more joy. Sorry about Levi. Has been really fun for me, and it's why I do what I do. If anybody's interested in just learning more about what we do here with Freedom from Alcohol Coaching, there's the three of us, Chris, and then Matt and myself. Not this Matt, but a different Matt. And we'd be happy to have a discussion with you to see if this might be a good fit for you, if you're curious about having a life unleashed from alcohol and actually being more free than you ever thought you could be. So thank you, Matt, for coming in today and sharing this space with me on Zoom. And I know that I'll see you on Mondays when you can, with our community. And I know you'll keep me up to date on all the things that are happening in your life. But I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad that we got to connect in this way to
Yeah.
give you a bigger life, a life with more choice and more fun and more freedom.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for all your help.
Absolutely. All right, back to work for you. Thank
Yep,
you.
that's right. Yep. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.